Mandy says, best way to get past trauma in a toxic relationship, currently in a divorce and want a new start, scared of me reacting to trauma responses. Well, if you are getting divorced, I wouldn't get, the best thing that you can do is focus on healing yourself. And there's a bunch of different things that you can look at. One of my recommendations is my own content, listening to my videos over and over and over again, because I talk about a lot of these things. Some of my meditations that I have, I think, are really, really powerful. But what you really need to do is you need to change the meaning that you have from events from your past. And because the meaning that we make about events in our lives determines the entire rest of our life. And so, for instance, right? So, for instance, I had two parents who, my mom, when I was younger, she like took me over to my dad's house one day when I was about 13 and just left me there and never came back for me. Right. And then my dad like sent me to go to this psychiatric ward because he thought that I was like crazy and he wanted to deprogram me. And then when I was out of it, he sent me to go live with my grandma. Right. And so I felt like I was abandoned by my parents and I didn't deserve love and all these kinds of things. Right. And that kind of took me through most of my life. So most of my life, I spent trying to prove that I was worthy of love. And so I accomplished all kinds of things, right? I was a Navy SEAL. I, graduated top of my class and in college, university. I, was the biggest student leader at the college. Won all these awards and stuff. I like got deep into different things and, built a business, successful business. I, got in really, really good shape and, figured out all these things in my life because I was trying to prove that I was worthy of love. Well, I can still do all those things, especially now that I've developed the habit of like being an achiever. But instead of doing things in my life to try to prove that I was worthy, because what happens is if you're constantly doing that, you never feel worthy, right? There's always a next level. There's always something else. Doesn't matter how much money you have, how much success you have, how much you can do all kinds of things. You never actually feel worthy. And so my question was like, how can I like experience my life from feeling worthy now, accomplishing and creating whatever I want, but making my next phase of life about loving life, about uh, filling my life with joy and passion and excitement and love and living my life just happy, being happy all the time and coming from a place where I'm feeling like I'm enough and then deciding what I want my life to be about. And the best way to do that, because if you just try to like reframe and just go from that place, it's really, really difficult because you have this past that haunts you. And so you have to go back to the past and look at the events. You don't have to experience them if you don't want to. But what you should do is reframe what the events meant to you. And so one of the ways that you do that is by looking at the event and saying, instead of, my parents left me and, that means that I'm not worthy of love and I was abandoned. What if I look at my life and realize that this was a challenge, that this was the universe or God or, whatever you believe in? It was its way of challenging me to grow and be bigger and be stronger so that I can help a lot of people in the world. And when you can get into that stuff and come from that point of view, and one of the things that I realized was that I was born in love. When I was born, like most of my life was filled with love. And then I hit that part when I was 13. And instead of making my life be defined by the 13 years before that, where it was filled with love and joy and happiness and connection and togetherness from my family, I made the rest of my life about that one moment, right? That one moment where, I felt like I was abandoned by my parents, where I felt like I wasn't loved, where I felt like I wasn't enough. And so I changed the meaning of the event, and I took the story from the previous part of my life, and then I said, okay, what do I want my story to be about now? You know, most of my life, I felt like my story was like this struggle. It was a struggle to succeed, and then at some point it was like this comeback story, right? I was knocked down and I was, coming back, which is a great story to have, right? But a better story is maybe a romantic comedy or like an adventure, right? That's the kind of story I have now. It's an adventure. My life is an adventure, and I'm just going through life, experiencing just tons of different things and meeting lots of cool people and connecting with lots of cool people and just living my life and building and growing and living my life. And so that's kind of my suggestion on what you do is you reframe the events that kind of limit you, and you create a new meaning about your life up until now, and then you decide what your story is going to be from now on. And that's usually the best way. I know that was probably a long-winded answer. I hope that was valuable to a lot of people that are here.